All right, it's Robbie O'Daniel, the editor of LaFollette Press, here again for our weekly chat with Kemp County High School head football coach Justin Price. Nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me again, Robbie.
So, what a game last week. Take me through, what are some of your thoughts now that you've been able to digest it?
Well, we kind of talked about before, you see it here a lot that you make your biggest improvements from game 1 to game 2 in a high school or in a football game or season. And, I think that some of the things that we talked about, some of the weaknesses we had in week 1, we were able to correct those because, when you watch the film from week 1, you notice some things that we can fix immediately just from practicing or things that where there's a bad decision or something happened. So for the most part, I felt like we did that. And obviously, mainly speaking of turnovers, when you eliminate turnovers, you give yourself a better chance to be successful. And so I think that was the big takeaway offensively, was just that we didn't turn the football over.
And you guys were on defense, able to really get some pressure on the Heritage quarterback, several sacks.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked going into the week that, Coach Osavet, that RPO system that he's bringing to Heritage would put us in some challenging positions of, is the quarterback going to run it, throw it, is he going to hand it off, and just option football. And so at times they were able to move the ball, but I think in the end we were able to make enough plays defensively to obviously get the ball back for our offense, and obviously made some huge plays on that side of the ball, some big sacks when we needed them. And so I think that defensively, for the most part, we did well. I still think there's some areas we got to continue to improve on that side of the ball, just like in all phases that we have. But I was proud of the way our defense was able to get to the quarterback at times and force them to punt or get the ball back for our offense.
What are some of those things that you're seeing that the team needs to work on?
Defensively, I think just one, tackling in space and getting more people to the football. And again, that can be hard sometimes when you're talking about option football or where your keys at. So get as many people as we can to the football. And I think just eliminating maybe big plays and momentum things, and obviously if you can force more 3 and outs, that's a big deal because it helps us field position, things like that. So just more fundamental basic stuff of football, and I think we improved from week 1 to week 2, but we just got to continue to improve in kind of those just fundamentals of football on defense, tackling, getting to the football, getting your keys, making sure you're where you're supposed to be, and obviously we're doing it. We're kind of but we just got to continue to get where I feel like we when we reach our potential on that side of the ball.
Landon, of course, he's been all over all the Knoxville media polls this week. 7 touchdowns. It's crazy. It's like video game numbers.
Yeah, Landon just obviously played an exceptional game, and I still think there's some throws he probably would like to have back, but in the end he ran the offense, he executed, and we had opportunities to make throws that gave us points. He did that, but obviously I feel like when the quarterback plays well, that's a reflection of the players around him, and you look at the numbers our receivers put up were great. They made some tough catches. They took some short screens and scored touchdowns. And, so I think, one, you got to understand how well they played out there. And then offensive line protected well. We were able to run the football too. When you start throwing the ball well, people are you're going to get a lot box and be able to run the football. And we were able to take advantage of that too. So it was really just, I know Landon kind of gets the praise for it this week, and that comes with the position. But, it was a collective effort from so many people that were out there on Friday.
That's true. One thing that kind of gets missed, like I was looking at the stat sheet, I was like, oh, wow, I think Will Lester, 13 carries, 86 yards. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, Will's he's a good running back and gets downhill. And, a lot of times when you're throwing the football, the defense you kind of spread them out. Yeah. And then you get a lot box, and if the numbers are there for us, we want to run it, and but you got to be able to take advantage of that. So if they're playing with 5 defenders in the box, you got to be able to run the football, and I think Will gives us a good chance to do that, and then Keegan Cowan carried some late in the game, was able to do that as well.
Devin, 4 touchdowns. It kind of gets the fact that Landon had 7 touchdowns. It kind of gets lost, but Devin had 4 of those touchdown catches. He had a huge day.
Yeah, Devin, he's played a lot of football for us, and he does a great job of getting in positions to get open. and setting up routes. I think one of his last touchdowns, he ran a corner route, but did a great job of just setting that up, because most of the time he's going down the middle of the field. This time he runs a corner route, which is a little bit different, but that's what you want. You want all your routes to kind of look the same initially as much as you can. And Devin, he took advantage of opportunities, and that's what we try to stress, and we try to make sure we understand that when you have an opportunity to make a play, whether it's an interception, a big tackle, or a touchdown, we need you to make those plays. And not that we'll make them all, but Devin did a good job of taking advantage of opportunities he had.
In the post-game huddle, you talked about people stepping up, people stepping up in big ways, and definitely like Noah Smith was one of those. I mean, it just felt like on his 2 sacks, he was running at the quarterback unabated, just going right at him. Yeah,
I think we kind of talk about, football, it's all about opportunities. Whether it's you're out there playing, you have an opportunity to score like we just talked about, or, if you're a backup and maybe you're not expecting to play much on Fridays, but then you get an opportunity, whether it's one play or 50 plays, take advantage of that. And there's no doubt that Noah took advantage of the plays he was out there.
What kind of, as far as the injury report, what would you say for Kilkenny?
We obviously have got some injuries on the team, but, I think that, unfortunately, it is part of football.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think the key is just, having people prepared, kind of like we talked about, just who can fill this role. Sometimes it's multiple people when you lose somebody. So it's something, obviously, we kind of, you take week to week and sometimes day to day and where you're at and things. But, that's why depth's always important in football. And but hopefully that whoever fills the roles, if people can't go this week or can go, whoever's in, that they're prepared to go.
So last week, Heritage cut it to 19-14, and that you guys started 19-0, then it was 19-14. It kind of changed the whole perspective. What was y'all's focus in the halftime locker room?
Well, it's when you get up 19-0, we were feeling pretty good, and, but so then you have to, what Heritage was able to do. They didn't quit, and they didn't, they got some momentum quick, and that obviously speaks for their staff and their players of how well that the direction of their program's going. But for us, at halftime on, we had no momentum. Heritage had taken it all from us, and even though we were up, you kind of just had the sense that we just hadn't been playing well or something. I don't know. It was a different feel, but the key is that's why you can't really dictate things by the scoreboard. Whether you're playing good or not good, the scoreboard is, obviously you want more points at the end of the game, but at the end it's just, how are we playing? And we just kind of just got back to, we got the ball, let's go down and score if we can and make some stops. And that's what we were able to get the ball the third quarter and go down and score. And obviously you kind of get some momentum, but then they answered right back. But I think the big play I feel like honestly that kind of got us going again was the third down touchdown to Devin. I think it was maybe a 45 or 50 yard or whatever, 45 yard touchdown, whatever it was. But it was that was a big play, and I think after that we were able to get up, keep that 2-score lead.
So I guess, and it was looking for a second there when it was close. It was looking maybe like those extra point tries would loom large. What happened on the first play? Wasn't a design, right? It kind of broke down, I guess.
Yeah, that was one thing. The first game, our PAT team was really good. This week it wasn't. So that was something that we got to work on and get it ready, because those are in big game or tight games. No matter what it is, those extra points can come back to get you, and you don't want to be chasing that point as the game goes. So that's something, just like week one, we found some weaknesses. That was one thing that we noticed. Obviously, everybody knows that it didn't look good. So it's some things that we've worked on this week, and we'll because the timing's so important on PAT field goal, and it's the snap, the hold, the kick, and then the blocking, and so obviously we can do it. We've shown we can do that, but those first few were not good. But I think at the same time, it's something that we can fix pretty quick.
Yeah, that's one thing that I noticed is that you were going to stick with we're trying to PAT no matter what. Obviously, early in the game, you don't want to chase those points, but how hard is that?
Well, I think you just got to make the decision, and you try to figure out what's the what's the point spread. Is it going to put you up by 3 scores, or are you going to maintain 2? is it different than having to kick a field goal or a touchdown? So there's a lot of factors, and we kind of had that a couple of times, those decisions, but we felt like each time that we had the opportunity to either go for two or kick a PAT, it was to our advantage just to get the 1 point, and so that's what we continue to do, and I think we kind of started making them more towards the end there.
So on the sidelines, we kind of figured out that Landon had tied the record, and then going into that last drive, we're kind of like, are they gonna give them a play to try to do it, or did you know, or?
I think I'd heard. I think at one point we up in the box, or something. I kind of realized he had 7 touchdowns, but it's just in those moments in a game. At that point we were still up. I think 2 or 3, whatever the final score was, and so it's kind of in the back of your. It's just something you don't want to dwell on. I think the next day or something, you're like, well, it'd been nice to get 8 touchdowns, but maybe he'll just break it this week.
It's hard because it's really got to be, I guess, a high scoring, close game to even have that chance, because otherwise you're going to get pulled, or something like that.
Yeah, it's those big, those type of records are, a lot of it's just the flow of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when you're looking at us, it was the same thing. We're up 19-0. Well, if you maintain that lead, and he's not going to throw 7 touchdowns historically. I mean, he may, but I think the key is when you're looking at things, it's just what's the flow of the game. Is our defense, because our defense played well, but they were still, Harris was still being able to move the football, and they were still a threat. They could score quick. So, we just felt like it was, in the moment, we just needed to keep scoring. But that last drive was finally like the drive, let's, it's time to run the clock out and go home with a win. And that's what we were able to do. And, we got stopped on the 4th down. They got the ball back, but we got the win, and they didn't have much time left. So it's a decision you kind of think about, but we didn't dwell on it on Friday. Yeah.
So Lenore City, how do they look on film?
They got a new coach. The big thing you'll notice with Lenore City on offense is they kind of run the single wing offense, and so what that does, it's a unique offense. I don't know if we've seen it since I've been at Campbell County. You've seen some wing tee, we've seen the wishbone, but to see a true single wing type style of play is going to be unique for us, and so. Matt, our defensive staff, we feel like we got a good plan for it. But at the same time, what that forces you to do is to take advantage of the possessions you get on offense. Because that type of offense, if the key is to try to win first down and get them off the field. But if you don't, they may not even score, but they take so much time off the clock, and they may limit your possessions on offense. And so we have to offensively. Make sure we're taking advantage of every possession we get, because we don't know how many we're going to have.
Right.
And then obviously on the flip side of that, but if our defense can get them in 3rd and longs and force them to do something they don't want to do, then that works in our favor. So it's I think that unique offense they're going to be running on Friday is going to be a challenge for us because it's just going to look different, something we've not seen, and it's just everything's kind of right there at in the box playing. It's going to be basically 22 players right there, and so you got to be able to take away kind of their main plays, but then also be prepared for the things they have off of those, whether it's a pass or a throwback screen or something like that. So it's going to be a challenge for us defensively, which in turn makes it a challenge for us offensively to make sure we're taking advantage of every possession. Yeah,
as a photographer, selfishly, I really don't like those offenses because it's like a sea of humanity. You can't really pick out different things. But so Lenore City, I believe they're coming off of playing their arch rival Loudon, tough loss. How much of that, it's another team that's coming in hungry.
Yeah, they played Loudon tough last week. I think Loudon scored kind of late in the game to win maybe 21-14 by one. It was a one-score game, and Lenore City had the lead. In the game a couple of times, I think. So it's
Loudon's a great program.
Yeah, Loudon's a really good program, coming off a big year last year, and or really the last couple of years. I feel like they're always in the mix right there, and so I think they're gonna. That should a program like that with a new coach. They should come in with a lot of confidence because of the way they played, and I'm sure there's plays that they have when it's a one-score game. There's probably some things they did on their own that would have given them maybe a chance to win it. So. We know they're going to come in it with a lot of confidence, I believe, and and that's what you expect. You got a new coach; they played Loudon really well, so and there's a lot riding in this game. It's a little bit heavier carries a little more weight just because it's a region game. But I think we're prepared for it.
Do you feel like it's kind of a different in terms of the fact that you've proven yourself in the road win, that you come back home? In terms of maybe Landon's perspective, because I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I always feel like with young players, it can almost be better to play on the road because it's kind of like everybody's rooting against you, and so there's not as much pressure in my mind. But
yeah, I think one thing, even Landon's performance Friday was just a great performance. But Landon's still just a sophomore.
Yeah.
He'll be making his third start. And that's the role as the quarterback coach too is maintaining his level of play. Landon should have some confidence right now. There's no doubt, but also not to feel too much pressure in this. To understand that he had a great stat line last week, and a lot of that is because he played well, and then some of that is because the players around him played well. And I think that as a quarterback, again, when we lose, he's going to get some blame. When he wins, he's going to get all the praise. But I think as the player, you have to live in the middle of that to understand that let's let players make plays. When the play's called, just run the way it's supposed to run. And I think Landon, I still think he can play even better. I know so I think he'll continue to improve, and I think that's going to be the key for us offensively. Is I know he's young, he's just a sophomore, but just to maintain a certain level of play. He's still going to make mistakes and things like that are going to happen. But to him, not to feel the pressure of that. We don't need 7 touchdowns every Friday to win a game. I think if we throw 7 or 8, we got a good chance. But just Landon just needs to go and play within himself. He's a great football player, and I think being a home game where we lost the first one, I think it's going to excite him, and I think it excite our team to be back home.
Is time possession going to be a factor this week? Considering that, if you run, that you can really churn and eat the clock.
Yeah, I think that's the key for our offense this week. If they eat the clock up on if they take a lot of time off the clock with that single wing offense, and we get the ball back and we go 3 and out. Well, again, when you limit possessions, every play just means more. So if you only get 4 or 5 possessions or 5 or 6 a game, the most points you can score is 35 or 42. But the reality is you're probably not going to score every possession, and sometimes you may get a possession right at the end of the half, or you're cut short on plays anyway. So field position plays a big part of that too. If they drive the ball, they punt it, and then you got to drive 80, 90 yards or whatever. So it's important. So when you limit possessions, that makes every play important. But at the same time, if you just take one play at a time, execute it, play it the best that you can, all that other stuff, the time possession and scoring, all that will take care of itself.
And some other players who had career games, Ethan Miller and Mason Shanks.
Yeah, all 3 of those were, obviously we talked about Devin already. Mason, I felt like, he was one that got us going early. He made a big catch on a 3rd down to first, and then ended up scoring on that drive on the screen. And really, it was a great catch and then a great run by him. So, it's Shanks is one we want to get the ball as many times as we can. He's started some as a freshman, and so he's prepared for these moments, and he understands what it takes, and so we're going to try to get him the ball as much as we can. And then Miller's the same. Miller was first year starter last year, and just a great athlete, and he's a tough matchup. He can go across the middle, but also he's really good at that double move we do on the safety, and so he was able to get behind them once for a long touchdown, and we throw some quick screens to him. So Devin's got a skill, or Miller's got a skill set that whether it's short, deep, middle, he can run a lot of different routes, which makes him hard to defend.
In the post-game talk, one person you talked about was Eli Dorton.
Yeah, Eli filled in a little bit on defense for us, and he is just one of those moments where again you're kind of forced in a position. And Eli, I think he's just a sophomore, and I felt like when he was out there, he did some good things. Obviously, he can, just like every player, there'll be areas he improves on the more playing time he gets and the more he's out there. But I was just really proud that his ability to go out there and play some outside linebacker, and then also play offensive line some when we needed to, when we needed him to play offensive line, he went out there and played it. And those are 2 tough positions to play, and especially younger. And so I was just proud of him to that he was able to go out there and give us some quality reps.
What's going to be, last question, what's going to be the key to beating Lenoir City this week?
I think defensive. I think it all really, a lot of it starts with the defense, to be able to get their offense off the field. And even if they take a long drive, obviously you want to limit them scoring. But I think if you can force some 3 and outs, especially early or whenever they happen, but especially early, and give our offense some possessions, or if we can get a turnover and steal away a possession, it's going to be huge for us. So, I think that's the key. Just, when you're going to see 22 players right there in the box. So that's the key for us. And then get them off the field, eliminate any big plays from the things that they have, whether it's a halfback pass or just a throwback screen and things like that. So eliminate those. And then from an offensive standpoint is, we have to be able to score on possessions just in case they're if they're controlling the clock. We got to be able to take advantage of the possessions and the plays that we do have.
Campbell County High School head football coach Justin Price, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate it.
And we're going to welcome in Jellicoe assistant football coach Derek Turner, as we have assistant editor Eva Harinkova here handling our production today. Thank you, Eva. And so Campbell County will be hosting Lenoir City this week, and Jellicoe will be hosting Cosby. And so that's going to be a key district matchup for Jellicoe coming up this Friday. And as always, you can follow us on Twitter and live stream and everything like that. Derek, thanks for joining us.
Happy Thursday.
So, take me through, I know it was a tough week last week, but take me through what we knew that Oakdale had some skills players and everything like that, and it felt like they kind of jumped out to an early lead and didn't look back.
Yeah, I mean, we got the ball first, and I mean, was putting together a pretty decent drive. I mean, we had 2 first downs, and right out of the gate we had 2 first downs. We were moving the ball. I mean, not really at will. I mean, they were making us work for it, which we knew they would. And then, they had a linebacker basically just sat in the alley on a screenplay we tried to run, and anytime you give up anytime the opponent's defense can take one, go back for a touchdown on the first possession of the game, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, and kind of regroup yourself. But I mean, we knew we wasn't going to be able to have those mental mistakes and mental breakdowns because they were such a good football team. I mean, we were going to have to execute and play near perfect, and you just can't have those. Hunter just never seen him. And, when he turned, the linebacker just sat right in the alley, and Hunter never seen him, and he, caught it. And they had 2 defensive touchdowns against us, early in the game, which is, anytime the other team's defense is scoring, it makes it hard.
Yeah.
And, especially with the offense, because we knew their offense was going to score points. And, because like I said last week, if we could have held them to under 30, it was going to be a win for us. So basically 16 of their points, came off the defense alone. It's just something that we knew we wasn't going to be able to do, and obviously the score reflected it. But they're a really good football team. They'll play, Midway and Coalfield and Greenback, and I think you'll see going throughout the season. I mean, they're physical. I mean, they attack you. They're fast. And they really are, and a lot of things that you didn't see on film. I mean, we knew they had a couple kids, that were strong and physical, but I mean, their whole team. I mean, special teams units, offensively, defensively. I mean, they would attack you, they'd get after you, and plus, they're fast as well, so they're going to surprise a lot of people, I think.
So this week it's a big rivalry game against Cosby at home.
Yeah, We've had some back and forth with us and Cosby now since we started playing them. We went up there, I guess it'll be 4 years ago now. We went to Cosby, and it was basically a mud bowl. And, I mean, they killed us. I mean, they beat us like 50-6. And I literally think they scored 50 in the first half. And, I mean, we just was not prepared. I mean, our style at the time, especially, which, offensively is the same philosophy now. I mean, we had Joseph Pollock, quarterback, Jordan King at wide receiver, along with, Cade Evans, Carter Bolton's, a lot of others. We were more of a spread team, and we struggled in those wet conditions. And Cosby at the time, they were more of a run-heavy team, I guess, just based off personnel. And, they beat us to death. And then the next year, they come to our place and played, and I think we beat them like 42-6. And then at the end of that game, we had their coach. He got pretty heated. Got pretty heated with us because we threw we had a kid. That we were just trying. I mean, it was we done like a breast cancer awareness night, and so we were just trying to take the opportunity to get a certain certain student athlete just get him the football and and he played receiver, and so that was basically the only way. We throw a slant to him, and he catches it, and then their coach, he was pretty upset with us at the time. But so last year, we thought, okay, going to Cosby, we thought that, but I think he had, he'd settled down from it. I mean, he was very open. I mean, and very respectful to us.
Now he said at that time that watch out because we're going to be in the same district soon.
He said watch out because we're going to be in the same district next year, and which was last year, and we went up there and we jumped on them early. We were up by 2 scores. We were up by 3 scores actually at one point, and they scored right before halftime. And then we came out after halftime. The kickoff after halftime, we Raymond Jeffers stripped the ball on the return team. We recovered the fumble. We go in to score, and then we just kept letting them back into it. And it came down to it was 26 to 20, 26 to 27. Mm-hmm. We were up by 1 point, and we got the ball back because they had scored and made it 26 to 27, and we got the ball back, and Carter Bolton just went off on that last drive. It was just, 60, 70 yards. It was just, hand off Carter, and he eventually broke one like 35, 40 yards to put the game away. Now, this year, if we let those guys hang around, if we get the opportunity to get up on them, we have to keep them. We have to keep them put away because this year, they basically have all their skill kids back. They have some more skill kids out. I think. We just found out today. Cosby had sent a message and said that they were going to be bringing 2 buses for football and a pet bus. So they just wanted to let us. Yeah, they just wanted to let us know because they said they know it's hard to park 3 school buses sometimes, and so they just wanted to give us a heads up. So
they're going to get there about 5:30.
Yeah, so they're bringing a pet bus. They're bringing they're going to have 2 busfuls, which we knew they had at least 40 kids out.
Yeah.
And then like I said, they got a lot of basketball players out this year, so they got a lot of new. On the perimeter, honestly, the quarterback's probably the scariest player on the team. Mm-hmm. He moves very, very well. And he's not. None of their. Just overall, they're not a big team, but their skill guys are athletes and they move really, really well. And their quarterback is too. And even for his size, his arm strength will impress you because they're trying to contain him with his feet is going to be a challenge. But then also our secondary, corners and safeties, we can't fall asleep because they love the deep ball. So, we're going to have to stay at home. We're going to have to, guard the skies this week because we just can't afford to give up big plays.
So, so I guess, for all the Jellicoe fans, get there early and make sure Jellicoe's got a decided home field advantage there.
Yeah, so it definitely it's an added element of excitement. I think it's something that for our kids to get excited about because now Cosby's they had a great week 1.
It's clear that Cosby wants this.
Yeah. They took care of business with Sunbright, and then the next week they played Unicoi. Mm-hmm. But Unicoi's a 3A school, and they're traditionally a good football team. We watch both films, and Unicoi is a very good football team. Mm-hmm. So we can't pay we can't pay no mind to their game versus Unicoi. But they handled Sunbright and decisively. So Cosby thinks, and for good reason. After week 1, they're contest with the nearest 1A team. They think they're going to have a good year, so they're excited. When you get a text and you don't see that a lot. This is the first time. Aside from Williamsburg, when we used to play Williamsburg, that a school has brought like a pet club, in 1A. So this, so it's a pretty big deal. So that so I think it's it's something for our kids to get excited about. It's a little extra motivation. They're expecting to maybe roll in and get out with a win. So it gives us a little extra motivational tool as well.
And so, what is any key players are going to be out for this one? What's the injury report look like?
Well, health-wise, we've had, I don't know what has been going around. This week we've had kids out with just stomach virus. We've had kids out with just like a just like your average like stomach virus this week. We've had kids with dental issues that have been out, and it's been a pretty rough week. We're going to be missing. We're really, and of course in the secondary right now we're going to have two players unavailable in the secondary that should be starters. One was he missed for health reasons, and then two is Raymond Jeffers, which he was ejected in the second quarter of the game at Oakdale.
How tough was that? I know that it's hard. These kids, they're kids. They get emotional in the heat of the moment, but at the same time, it's like, man, like we don't have you for this week.
Oh, for us, it's he's one of our two current senior starters.
Yeah.
And also starts on both sides of the ball. He started, especially this week, he started corner. For 4 years now since his freshman year. So just his game experience, his leadership. It's really going to hurt. And I think for Raymond, he addressed the team during film earlier in the week. At the end of the film session, he just took some time to address the team, and tell them, it's not worth it, because it was kind of like, he was the second guy, but that's how all football penalty. It's always the second guy that gets called.
Yeah, the referee notices the second guy.
Yeah, so he took some time to address the team, but it's going to really hurt us. We're going to have to, we've looked at moving Hunter, letting Hunter play some corner as well, but just because the athlete he is, from a receiver standpoint, we basically told Hunter if they run a go route and they throw it up, you're the receiver, just go get it, just play like you're playing receiver again, because that's what we want him. That's what we want him to do, and then we're going to have to move some other kids around as well. Now we have, hopefully, we did get some good news. Luke Bolin, he was out with his knee. His kneecap was dislocated. He did get cleared yesterday, so there's as long as he's good to go. Once he, as long as he can, he's been doing therapy and stuff as well. So, getting Luke back on the offensive line would be huge. I don't know if he's going to be 100%. I don't know, and he's probably not going to be in the best football shape right now either, just from his. His time that he's had to take away for his rehab and waiting to get evaluated. But just having him back, dressed out, even on the sideline on the field, is going to be huge. And then also another senior that we didn't have until this week, Chandler Dopel, which he was a two-way starter for us last year. So Chandler's going to be back this week, which is going to help offensively. Fill in for Raymond, but then again, Chandler is kind of the same as Luke. He's not really in great football shape right now, so he's going to be limited. A couple. We could throw him out for a couple plays on defense if we needed to talk to somebody, or something like that. But he's probably going to be limited, to one way. So we do have some kids coming back, but as we've had a lot of kids miss this week for, illness. We've been. When we were doing film, we had kids that were sick, and we were doing film through Discord. We had kids on, Discord, FaceTime while we were doing film, in our film room that we have, just got done now as well. So, we were trying to do, a lot of stuff to, because, it's basically a film day, so let's just try to, keep the bugs and germs, as separated as possible.
Now, is that y'all's idea to use Discord, or is that just something that the kids are on?
That was Shane and Preston Bowman. That was they had done this actually back earlier in the because probably the end of July, maybe when we were looking over some 7-on-7 film. That was something that they had kind of put together, I guess, from some gaming streaming services. So now they put together a Discord group for just even like side film discussions and stuff like that. So it's something that we're continuing to utilize.
I feel like you'll be maybe some people will be going through the Twitch streams all of a sudden coming across Jellicoe football.
Yeah.
So what's going to be the key to winning this game against Cosby's for you?
I mean, honestly, offensively we have to do a better job. We have to do a better job of getting the ball in the end zone. In the second half last week, I mean, like I said, in the first half of Oakdale, I mean, the first drive, was a killer, and then it was 16-0, and we get the ball back, and we have a 2nd and 2 on their 37-yard line. So going in, it's only 16-0, 2nd and 2, and we get a personal foul penalty, and so then we end up 3rd and 17. So number one is we have to play smart. I mean, even Raymond, he's already addressed the team, told the team just from something like that, silly personal fouls, because honestly, we could have lined up in our heavy set and we'd have ran at Oakdale twice. If we went 3rd and 2 and 4th and 2, we'd have ran at them twice, and we would have got a first down. And if we scored right there and made it 8-16. Okay,
right.
So maybe there's a little momentum shift, but we didn't. Just bonehead mistakes. We can't do that. And especially on the offensive side. So the second half of Oakdale, I feel like we got a little confidence. Hunter got more comfortable. Seeing the field. That was kind of like, okay. It was, I don't even remember, 52-7 at halftime, if I remember correctly. So it was just like, okay, or 52-8. And I was like, okay, so let's just, second half, let's just use it as a practice and evaluation period. And, let's just, try to get comfortable. And, that's basically what we did. And, offensively, we didn't punt in the second half. So, that just, I don't know, we probably punted 4 or 5 times in the first half. So we just got to, continue on what we done in the second half last week, be able to score points, which I think up front, we match up. I think we're better up front than Cosby, offensively and defensively. If our line plays like they can and plays to their strengths, that should be a big thing. Early in the game, especially early in the game and late in the game, I think trying to establish the run game is going to be big for us. To kind of soften up their secondary, because they do think they have really good athletes, so they will go man some too. So if we can establish the run game and get them in some man-to-man situations, it's going to play into our advantage, especially with Hunter with his legs. Even worst case scenario, our receivers get downfield with DB's man-to-man with their back turned, and Hunter's able to utilize his legs to make plays. And then on the defensive side, on the reverse of that, is going to be for us containing their quarterback. And then number 4 for them. He lit us up pretty good last year, and he's good again as well. But honestly, the scariest player on their team is their quarterback, and kind of like I was saying earlier, just he moves so well. They run. It's just zone read principles, and then like I said, they'll throw a couple screens, but they it's zone read and the deep ball, and their quarterback's really good and really efficient at that. And if he gets an open space, the Sunbright game, Sunbright was down on the 3-yard line. It was 7-0. Cosby was up 7-0. Sunbright was on the 3-yard line, couldn't convert. Cosby gets the ball back. 2 plays later, their quarterback takes it 90 yards for a touchdown. And so, just being that close to scoring, we have to finish drives. So we can't let that happen because, it's just a heartbreaker when you're 3 yards away from tying the game up, and then 2 plays later, the quarterback, runs a zone read and takes it 90 yards. So containing the quarterback and, just not making bonehead mistakes, just being more efficient offensively. We just have to finish drives, especially when we get drives going. We just have to be able to finish them.
Thank you so much, Jellicoe, Assistant Football Coach Derek Turner. Thank you so much as always.
Thank you very much.